Welcome to Doyle Spillane Real Estate. We've been at home on the Northern Beaches for the last 40 years. We're a boutique independent agency with a clear focus on achieving the best possible outcome for our clients every single time.
Welcome to the Doyle Spillane download. We're back and I'm joined today again with Matt. I'm Joey Emma. This is Matt Morley.
Thanks for having me, Joe. Yeah, this is great.
Yeah.
Everything's silent, eh? They got us back, yeah.
Today, I thought we'd dive into you. I mean, I know a lot of people sort of know you. You've been very prominent on the Northern Beaches for a long time in real estate, and even before that, growing up. So I think it'd be a good sort of idea to, get people to really know who Matt is. So I think we're going to concentrate on you today. So hope you're all right with that.
Okay, let's, I'll do my best to share.
Well, you love talking about yourself, so it should be easy.
Yeah, okay, I'll give it a crack, Joey. Thank you.
For anyone that doesn't know you, how would you explain what you do on a daily basis?
So I'm a real estate salesperson predominantly. I've been here for 28 years doing the same thing. So I find properties to sell. I match buyers to those properties. So effectively, I'm a real estate salesperson. I got the opportunity 19 years ago to become a business owner in the company as well. I'd been here 9 years. So I'm also, a shareholder in the business with you, and a couple of others. And so I'm predominantly a real estate salesperson, and obviously have shares in this great business. And I've been here for 28 years.
Oh, excellent. And
yes.
You're probably one of the, and not many, and you're quite humble. So a lot of people wouldn't know that, you're an award-winning salesperson, and you, year in, year out, you're in the top 10% Australia-wide. And also on Rent My Agent, you've been, the winner in Colorado Plateau for the last how many?
Yeah, a few years, Joe. Look, awards are great, and it is good to be recognised in the industry. But look, it can only happen if you've got good staff members, good support team, good loyal clients. Look, we always do our best to do a great job. We don't always get it right 100% of the time, but our energy and effort to try and get it right does help us get good results for our clients a lot of the time.
Yeah.
So although I'm fortunate to have received some awards over the years, it's more about trying to do the right thing and get our clients good results.
I told you he was humble. So where did you grow up?
So I grew up locally. I've always been on the Northern Beaches. I grew up in French's Forest. So I went to Wakehurst Public School.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, which is up in Belrose in Glen Street. Then I went to Davidson High School, where I had a really good childhood there. I had some great mates that I'm still really good friends with today. And then from there, I left school and got into real estate straight out of school as an 18-year-old.
Yeah, right. Okay.
So
that was going to be my not.
Yeah.
But what was your first job? What did you? Did you work part-time anywhere when you were at school?
When I was at school, I did odds and ends. I did a little bit of lawn mowing for people and a few bits and pieces, but nothing major.
Yeah.
I was very busy with my school work and a bit of sport and things like that.
Yeah.
So I didn't really do that much work. I did a little bit of labouring, a little bit of lawn mowing and things like that as a young fella. But when I left school, then I was like, what am I going to do now? And then real estate came to the fore.
Why,
sort of fell into
why real estate? Yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting one. I wasn't sure. I never really sat back and said that real estate was a job that I was going to do. I wasn't sure of what I was going to do. I wasn't sure whether I was going to go to university. My grades were okay, good enough to scrape into it, to do a course, but not outstanding. I was wanting to have a year off where I could save a little bit of money and maybe do a little bit of travel. That's how I sort of got into it. And then I got employed as a real estate trainee under an apprenticeship award. And from there, I went into property management as an 18-year-old. And I did that for 3 years. So yeah, that was how I got in. So, and while I was doing that, I was going to TAFE doing the real estate course, which took me 3 years. So by the age of 21, I had my real estate license. I hadn't sold any real estate, but I'd done rentals, which is what your expertise is, which was extremely good training.
Yeah, I was going to say that's what probably set you up for a good career. Starting in rentals, it sort of really weeds out the good from the bad sort of thing.
It
So
taught me resilience. It taught me how to deal with people. And I actually went to my boss after I'd been doing it 3 years, and I said, I want to get into sales. I think I'll be good. And he just looked at me and goes, you're not ready. You're not mature enough. You don't own real estate. You don't know much, and you're not ready. And I was a little bit taken back by it. But in hindsight, he was actually absolutely 100% correct. So a big shout out to Ian McKenzie.
yeah, I was going to say, where was that?
Smart and McKenzie First National. Ian McKenzie was my first employer.
Yeah, right.
And I have to say that I was a young guy and I was going out a lot and I was partying a little bit and doing things. I was not 100% focused on my work. So I can't say I did a wonderful job in that space. But it taught me a lot of valuable life lessons. But the bigger life lessons happened after I left there, because I traveled for 2 years, and that's when I sort of grew up a little bit, became more of a more streetwise, a little bit more ready to take on sales, which what I did when I got back.
Yeah, well, that's what I was going to ask you. Looking back, what experiences shaped you? So it was probably traveling was.
Yeah, when I traveled and I was away 2 years, and when I was overseas, I did different jobs. So I traveled for 2 years, and probably I worked a year of it. So I worked in a timeshare company, selling timeshare in the Canary Islands.
Yeah,
it sounds exotic. It wasn't exotic, but it taught me how to handle rejection, how to deal with people. That was great. I worked in a bar in the Greek islands. I worked as a beekeeper in Israel for 4 months. I did different jobs.
Oh, wow.
When I was on my way back, so because I traveled through Asia, the Middle East, and Europe extensively, and then I came back through Asia, and I spent 4 months traveling. And at that stage, I started going, well, I'm 24 now. I've got a real estate license. I don't have a university degree. I don't have a trade. And you're coming home with no money. What am I going to do? And then I got back, and that's when I decided to give sales a crack. So that was 32 years ago. 1994.
And where was that at when you?
So that was at Rain and Horns and Ives, and a good mate of mine that was 2 years above me at Davidson High.
Yeah.
I met him at TAFE again when we were doing it together. And when I traveled overseas, I helped him get a job in real estate. And then when I came back, he asked me to come and work in that company. So I went to Rain and Horns and Ives, and my job was just a prospector.
Yeah, right.
So my job was called a lead creator. So my job was just to get on the phones, speak to people, and try and get into people's lounge rooms to get our salespeople in the door so they could present their services. So that's what I did for maybe 10 months.
Yeah.
And after doing that 10 months, that shaped a lot of who I became as a sales agent, because there was a lot of rejection. I still remember my first call. It was late in the evening. I'd sort of worked myself up to start doing my prospecting calls, and I had a script and a dialogue, and I picked up the phone and I rang a gentleman, and he told me to F off.
Yeah.
Do you know, it's 6 o'clock, why are you ringing me? And I was nervous, so I thought, oh, I can't stop. That's my first call.
Yeah.
So I thought I'd dial the next number, but I inadvertently called the same number. And then I got hit with double barrels. I told you to F off, what are you doing? And then then he called my boss and complained about me. So that was my introduction to sales. So after 10 months doing it, then because I was resilient and I kept turning up, they said, I think you're ready for sales. So by then I was almost 25.
Yeah, right, okay.
I'd done my property management, I'd done my travel, and I'd done my lead generation prospecting. So they thought I was ready to go into sales. So then I went into sales I was there selling for 2.5 years.
Okay, so you were there quite a while.
Yeah, and that very sad story was that my good mate that got me into the job that I'd known through school, he unfortunately passed away.
Oh, wow.
And he had an accident and fell off a balcony.
Yeah.
And I walked into work one day and I was given that news, and it sort of put a dent in things. And I kept working hard, but I just felt like I grew up in the Northern Beaches, and I thought, and I was doing okay, not outstanding, but I was doing okay. And then I thought, I kept my eye on the Northern Beach, and there were 2 companies on the Northern Beaches that I thought I could work at that looked like they fit what I was looking for. And Doyle Spillane was one of them. And then after he passed away and an opportunity came up to work here, I took that with 2 hands, and 28 years later, I'm still here.
Still here, nice.
Yeah.
I was going to just go back. Do you remember your first property you sold?
At Rain and Horn St Ives, it was a little house up in North St Ives. I can't remember the address, but it was in the vicinity of, it was, 300,000 in the vicinity. But I do remember the first property I sold here.
Yeah.
And it was a studio apartment in Grafton Crescent. And it was one of my colleague Jeff's, who became a business partner as well, properties that he had listed. And I was just working with buyers at the time, and I showed a nice gentleman the property, and he bought it for $99,000.
What was his name?
Can't remember his name. Stefan. Stefan.
Yeah.
Yep, Stefan. And
we only sold it not long ago. Yeah, we managed it for
we managed it for 20 years.
Yeah.
And then we sold it. And we sold it for, I remember he bought it for $99,000, and he sold it 20 years later for $407,000. So I do remember that.
Yeah.
So that fit the perfect example of property doubling every 10 years.
Yeah, perfectly.
Yeah. Stefan, I can't remember his surname.
Well, I remember because that's why I asked you, because we managed it for 20-something years, and sort of
still calls me from time to time. Lovely man.
Yeah, it's good.
Retired.
It's good. Was business always on your radar? Did you think you'd be a business owner? I guess is it something that just came about?
Good question. When I got selling here, I was at a stage of my life where I was like, I'm gonna have to make this work, or I'm gonna have to try and do something else. So that was like a stage where I was like, let me try and be competent at this role. So I did invest a lot of time and energy and money in training. Yeah. And I go along to a lot of conferences and courses.
You still do? Yeah.
And I'd listen back in the day. I'd have a Walkman. I'd go for a walk with a Walkman on. I'd listen to tapes on scripts and dialogue and wealth creation and different things like that. So I was always trying to fill my head with positive role models. Growing up, I never really had role models as such. My dad left when I was 2, so I didn't have a male role model. Single mum, brother. There wasn't a lot of business discussion in the home. So when I got into real estate, and one of the goals to try and be relatively successful, I started to listen and learn and listen to people that were doing really well in that space and try and learn from them. So I did spend a lot of time doing that. Did I think I'd become a business owner? No. As I progressed and became a little bit more successful in sales, an opportunity arose, but it wasn't something that was always on my radar. I was more day to day, in the moment, trying to be the best version of myself, having slip-ups along the way, as I did in my sales career and later on in my leadership career. Sometimes I look back at some of the decisions I made that I go, look, I could have done a lot better with that. Yeah. But again, it's all a part of the learning. So the opportunity came to buy into the business 9 years after I'd been selling successfully here. Yeah. And it evolved, and that was a wonderful thing for me and my family.
Yeah, excellent. It's been about 16 years now that you've been director, principal.
It's actually been longer, mate, because I actually bought in 2006 when Peter Spillane retired. Okay. Wow. You bought in later in 2010.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, so for you it's 16, and for me it's 19. Yeah, it's coming up to 20 in June. It'll be 20 years. So, and yeah, that's a massive lot.
Sometimes, yeah. And I was going to say, what do people underestimate about being a business owner? Like, I guess, I see a lot of people that look at it, especially in real estate. Yeah. I perceive, not so much in property management, but in sales, I perceive that everybody that's in sales believes that they should be a principal, that believes that they should be a business owner. What really happens? What the underestimate?
Like, look, it's a big jump, and it's a different job. Like, when you're a real estate salesperson, that's your business. Your job is to list and sell and manage your clients and do all of that. And it's a business within a business. So the first thing you've got to do is run your own team and run your own business within a business. And I did that relatively successfully for years. But then when you delve into the business with profit or loss and financials and recruitment and growth and technology, there's so many moving parts. I was fortunate that I bought into a business that was established, that had a great general manager that became a business owner as well with Grace. And she took a lot of that burden off us because she managed a lot of the things that we weren't competent in. And that was a wonderful thing. It allowed us to focus and do our jobs continuously, but just still meet and then discuss and brainstorm. And then we had you doing property management, so we didn't have to worry about that. But a lot of people, when they start their business in real estate, they've got to manage staff retention, financials, property management, selling, where are they going to operate from, technology. There's so much to it. So it's something that I'd sort of suggest that if you are looking to become a business owner, look deeply into it. But I think the first step is to become a business within the business first. If you're going to be a real estate salesperson, be successful in that. And then if you've got the desire to do it. But you can make a very good income as a real estate salesperson as well. But if that is something you want to grow and you want to be an entrepreneur and have a slightly different mindset around it, then business ownership is a learning and humbling experience, but a very rewarding experience at the same time.
How did you have? I'm grateful every day that we sort of, like you said, the business was established and we had Grace, Peter and Stephen gave us the opportunity. And then there's been yourself and now Nicola doing the general managing. Like it takes a lot of pressure off us, but because potentially 25 to 30 staff, we've got. So it doesn't. Every day is, as I said, a lot of moving parts. Because that's the thing. Like, and you've been in a partnership now for potentially 20 years with your other directors and principals. All quite different. How do you make that work?
Look, at a partnership, it's always interesting, isn't it? Because we're all different. We've got different personalities. We've got different upbringings. We've got different trigger points. It's about respecting your partner and valuing your partner as well. Like I've worked with you now for 26 years, and out of that 16 years we've been in partnership. We're different but similar. We've got the same goals and aspirations to have a successful business where we look after our clients and do our best. But we have different mindsets around different things. And it's about respecting and working, with the people in their areas of expertise. The good thing about our business is we've got a general manager that does that stuff and does it well in Nicola now. Grace previously, Nicola now. You run the rental, so I don't have to worry or think about it because I've got total faith in your ability to deliver what we need to do there, and you do a wonderful job there. In our sales team, we've got Angela and myself and Stephen, and we've got Mel and we've got Gal. We've got a small boutique team there, but it's a very well-functioning team. We don't micromanage each other. We have trust in each other. We take responsibility when we make mistakes, and we make many mistakes, and we have. When I look at the partnership, about some of the things and the way I've been with partners through the years, I sometimes look at myself and think, wow, I was, if I knew then what I know now, I would do it differently. But all of it's a learning and growing and humbling experience, but it's all a part of who we are.
Yeah, definitely. Because we never, like as you said, never set out to be business owners. It's sort of just we were handed opportunities. But it's amazing that I look at us 26, 27 years. I don't think we've ever had an argument. You're probably annoyed. I've probably annoyed you at times, and we stay clear of each other for a day or so. But it's amazing that, and people ask me all the time, "Oh, you got a couple of different. How does that work?" No, great. No, we don't have any problems. And especially in real estate, one of the biggest things is that I always get from people is, "Oh, our salespeople don't get along with our property manager, and our property managers don't get along with that." Our team here is so unlike that, which is, and people put a lot of time and energy when I go to training about, how that making that dynamics work, and they train all around trying to get them to function properly, where we've never had that issue, like it's.
No, like, look, sometimes we haven't communicated as well as we should have, but in the whole scheme of things, our property management business is a wonderful business thanks to you and what you do there. And Like, I just know that it's going to be run well. And yeah, sometimes we've got different opinions about things, and we have some passionate discussions, which I think's important in any business and in any working relationship, in a marriage, in every partnership. And sometimes you come out of it and you think, oh, why don't they see it my way? And sometimes you'd probably think the same. But overall, we respect each other. We like each other. We trust each other. And I think with that, the business has been able to function really, really well as a cohesive unit.
And we're lucky we've got amazing staff, whether it be in sales, admin, property management, front office. We are sort of blessed with, some really good people. And we've had really good people all along the way, so, which is a credit to Stephen and Peter for putting in place those foundations. Coming back to sort of work and, like, we're under pressure all the time. It's probably something that people on the outside, not in the industry, don't realize, but there's a lot of pressure. We're not working hard labor, but there's a lot of mental fatigue that happens on you guys, salespeople, and the property managers as well. How do you handle that? What does it feel?
Sometimes not very well.
Yeah, no. But you do, and you'll probably lead to it. You do have a passion that I think is great, that a lot of me wouldn't know about. But what does pressure feel like for you, and how do you, manage that pressure?
So pressure is real in this game because you're working with people's biggest assets, and you want to make sure that you do the right thing and get them moved and have them achieve their goals. And when you care about the result, you sometimes keeps you up at night if you're not getting the result, because sometimes, regardless of your best efforts, the result's not happening, or the market's not aligning with what we're trying to do, and we lose sleep over it because we care. So yes, I've found it stressful at times. I've found it, and sometimes that stress has led me to, be a bit, look for outlets to try and manage that. So I've always I love my sports and things like that. So probably about 30 years ago or 25 years ago, I got into martial arts. So I did Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, practiced that for 20 years. I found that a wonderful way to release the build-up of anxiety and stress within me. And while learning martial art was wonderful, and getting humbled every day, doing something hard, getting up in the morning and getting people choking you or arm barring you and so forth is a really humbling thing. And it just teaches you resilience, and that it's not always about comfort. It's about doing things that are difficult. I've got a few injuries now, but I'm still.
But your journey, tell us where you got to with your jiu-jitsu.
I
think a lot of people wouldn't know this about Matt, but you're a black belt.
I am a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. I don't think I'm a very good one, but
well, if you're a black belt, you must have done something right. But that's amazing. Like, while you're working and putting a lot of energy into that, like, that would have been a lot of hard work, a lot of discipline. And you were older.
I started at 30.
Yeah.
When Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu wasn't big in Australia at the time, it was in 1998 I started.
Yeah, right.
And I was more of a recreational martial artist. I competed a little bit, but not too much. But I always kept training, and I always kept drilling, and I always kept wrestling. And I was probably doing, 15 rounds of sparring a week in jiu-jitsu and on the mat, and wrestles and cauliflower ears and broken nose and hernia operations. Recently had spinal surgery. So I've had my fair bit of wear and tear, but I've found that the thing I loved about that, and I've transitioned into amateur boxing the last couple of years, what I find when I'm doing it is I'm in the moment. So I look at it like meditation in action. When someone's trying to choke you or punch you in the face, you're not thinking about the sale that you can't make, or the client that unfortunately was unhappy because you didn't tick a box or you made a mistake. When you're there, you're in the moment. So to answer your question, combat sports has helped a lot with my journey, my mental journey, and it's been more mental than physical. A byproduct of it is it's kept me in physical good shape, but also bad shoulders, bad back, and injuries. But that's part of the journey. We get mentally injured, we get physically injured. It's very humbling when a skinny kid puts you in a leg lock or chokes you out, and you think you can handle yourself. And that was a journey that you have to go on when you're in these martial arts and in these sports. So I found that great. Another thing I do for my mental health is I meditate. So every morning when I get up, I spend a little bit of time in gratitude and breathing and meditation, followed by my training. So every morning I'll do either, it was jiu-jitsu, now it's boxing. Now it's boxing and a little bit of strength and conditioning in between because of my injuries. But every day I try and do something physical. And my meditation, they're the main two things that I do. And then when I'm not at work, I'm family, and that's basically it. I get up and do it again.
Yeah, let's talk about your beautiful family. Because again, with what we do, they're the sort of the real heroes in what I find, and
Yeah.
I'm sure, tell us about.
They put up with me, which is wonderful. So I've got a wife of 25 years and a daughter who's 19 and a son who's 22, all at home still, all doing really well. Daughter's at uni, my son's finished uni, I'm working. My wife's gone back to work after spending more time with the family when the kids were younger. We made a decision that she'd spend more time with the family and I'd work hard. And now that the kids are older, she's ticking that box of her career. So she's working in her career and doing very well at it as well. So we're a very busy family.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I say, anyone who asks me, I always say that if you want a salesperson who's going to work the hardest, Matt's your man, because you're here generally before I am at 8 a.m, and usually I'm out the door 6:30, and you don't even look like you're winding up. So, how do you find time, for the family? How about when the kids were growing up? I know, Dan, had a lot of sports going on. And one of the things I see is that you were very involved in that as well. So how do you make it happen?
Yeah, in real estate sales, you do have the ability to be a little bit flexible. So I found that I've been able to fit everything in by working 6 days a week. So my management of time hasn't always been great, but I try and manage it pretty religiously. In terms of the kids' sports, and my daughter was in dancing, and my son was basketball. So my son played basketball on Sunday, which was great, which was my day off. So I managed to get there a lot. And sometimes he'd have school games at the local Police Boys Club or at the sports club here at Warriewood. So I'd managed to get up there and watch in between appointments. My daughter with her dancing, my wife was very much engaged with that, and I'd get there when I could on the weekends, in the evenings and so forth, pick them up, drop them off. But I was very lucky because my wife was extremely hands-on with the children.
Yeah.
So she's got a really good relationship with them because of her involvement. And I was always at work, but I'd go to an assembly.
Yeah.
I'd go to awards nights and
So
days.
you get there.
I'd make the time, but I did miss some stuff.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you just have to do that.
Yeah.
And if you want to be successful in anything, you do have to make those sacrifices. But in the whole scheme of things, it was all part of the plan, and it's worked, and I've been pretty blessed with how it's worked so far.
Yeah. Well, it's good. And look, as I said, and look there, Deb's amazing, and Dan and Sienna are beautiful children.
How do you manage your stress? Because the property management is a different animal again. And when I did it for those 3 years, look, I wasn't a career property manager like you, but far out, that was hard work. How do you do?
Look, I think, with us, it's the same. We had a sporting background when we were kids, and it's almost every day I come to work, it's like I'm going to play a game of football. You mentally prepare, you come in, and you're just trying to do your best every day. So I think, again, you're the same. You're very passionate about your clients, and you always want to do the best for them. So, for me, that's what drives me. We've got landlords that we've had for 25, 30 years.
Yeah.
And they're here because, we look after them. So for me, I just want to do the best for them. And you know what, as you get older, it does get easier. I don't know whether it's, you learn, you're in a better headspace, whether you're more experienced. But I find that as you get older, the things that used to worry you aren't so important,
You train every morning as well.
Yeah, I train and stuff like that. But we're talking about you here.
But every day you get up at 4 to...
Yeah, for what? I haven't, only later in life, because like you say, we're older now, and we've been active when we were young, and if you just stop, that's when everything started to hurt.
Yeah. So yeah.
I don't, same as you, shoulder reconstructions and dislocations and knee surgeries. But if you don't move, you hurt, but the minute you start moving, and look, as I said, you've always kept yourself in good shape. I like my food. So, if I don't do anything, you're going to like my food. Well, it's not going to end up too well.
But do you find it helps you out on mental?
Oh, 100%.
If you've done your training before you get in, you can handle the day out.
Yeah, that's what it's become. It's become like I never saw it as that, but now it is. I get up early, so then I get home and I have half an hour to myself where getting ready, the kids, I still got little kids, so just getting them ready for school and things like that. But yeah, it definitely sort of sets me up for the day. And the days that I don't do it, I really feel that, everything is a problem. Everything, the simplest things become issues where, if you've got that clear mind and I don't get punched in the face or choked out. So,
you're like,
but yeah, we try and do a bit of fitness. I mean, we've talked about the business and like I know personally, because a lot of people ring me and say, oh, can we come down and see you guys, or can you make Matt available? I think people sort of look at you as very successful, and not only in sales, but as a business person. So, I know you spoke about, what you would do if you're a real estate salesperson, you want to get into business. But how about business in general? What advice would you give someone that, was looking to start in business?
I think the main advice is knowing what you want. So having a really clear goal, and then being prepared to pay the price that comes with it. So what a lot of people think, and you hear some people saying, I want to get into business because I want flexibility, or I want to run my own race or have my own hours. But when you're a business owner, you're probably I've been here for 28 years, and I still feel if I'm not in early and I'm not the last to leave, and I'm not grinding and working hard and sacrificing something, I'm not going to be successful. So I think if you ask any successful business owner, and there's business owners that are very successful, and I don't even put ourselves in that category. We run a nice small business, but in the whole scheme of things, in comparison to the big businesses out there, I think if you speak to any leader or business owner, they've all had to work extremely hard. They've had to have a goal. They've had to pay a price, and they've had to be prepared to pay that price with energy, with effort, with missing kids' parties and birthdays and milestones and things like that. And we've been fortunate in real estate, we can do most of those things, but in a lot of other companies, or even elite sports people that have to travel the world playing sport, they miss a lot. So I think having a goal, having a plan around that goal, and being prepared to pay the price. And also, I also recommend for business owners to, it all starts with your thoughts. So if your thoughts are positive and your energy is right, you'll attract good energy, and that good energy will filter out into the community and in what you're doing, and you'll attract good things in your life. And we've been fortunate. I've attracted wonderful business partners and staff members, and that's been an evolution, because over the years, sometimes you lose track or you lose your way, or things happen, tragedy, injury, sicknesses, like a lot of things happen in life. And being able to compartmentalize all of that, put that in a corner, and still be able to turn up to work in spite of what's happened at home is hugely important. And I think people that can do that well will be successful.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And you're very good at that, because a lot of stuff has happened with you, and half the time I wouldn't even have known it was happening. So you just carry on and keep going, sort of. But so I think, look, it's hard work. But you do manage to do it seamlessly, and sort of carry on with your work, and sort of still, obviously keep people happy. And I think, one of my favorite things that, you've ingrained in all of us is just helping people, doing it with no expectations. I think that's something that you've really ingrained in our culture, and all our staff, is just to give without no expectation, and I think in real estate, especially in sales. I feel that, and look, I've been doing it for 37 years. And I've seen a lot of people come and go in our industry, in our little patch here on the Northern Beaches. And I see salespeople who, you look at them, they're the next best thing, they're flashy, they're with the suits, they walk around town, and, in 6 months' time, they're not in the industry anymore.
It does happen.
Because all they're concerned about is what's in it for them, where, that's always struck me about you, is that it's always, it's always about your client best, what's best for your client, regardless of how it affects you or whatever it may be. So
Yeah, I think that's important. I think if you can give without expecting anything, the byproduct of that will hopefully be success. But it doesn't mean there's not challenges or difficult clients or clients that you don't resonate with or have problems with. So that, this job, there is a little bit of ego in it, and real estate agents aren't well regarded. And you'd like to think that if you do a good job, you're going to have a relative level of success without the ego and all of that, because we're not brain surgeons, we're real estate agents. We're not curing cancer. We're just here to provide a service for people that need to buy and sell and invest and rent and do all of that. So we just have to try and do it better every day and do it a little bit better every day. And some days we fall off, and other days we get back on track. Yep.
And I guess looking at it now, like, what does success look like now, as opposed to, say, 10 years ago? So, you've been in the industry 35, 36 years.
Yeah.
I know that when you're starting, you have goals and things like that, and they change during the period. How about now, looking at it now, what does success look like for you as opposed to, say, 10 years ago?
Yeah, it's a good question, success. I don't really know. Like, to me, it's more, how's your peace? How's your life? How's your family? How's your business partners? It's more about, it's not even about success. It's about just turning up and giving your best at whatever you do. And if I can do that every day and get a little bit better every day, regardless of how long I've been in it, then I consider that success. So just doing as good a job as you can, making sure that you can provide for your family, you can protect and provide for your family, and be a good business partner and staff member.
Yeah.
I think that's success to me.
Yeah, amazing. Well, we've gone deep in a lot of stuff, which is good, and I think you've given a lot to our business, but not only our business, but to the real estate industry on the Northern Beaches. And I think you're very highly regarded, not just by obviously the people that you come in contact with, but also other agents and stuff. I know that you have great relationships with a lot of other agents, which is something that is not sort of normal these days. Years ago, we spoke to Stephen a couple of weeks ago, and that used to be the thing. Then it's not. But I think that you seem to have a good relationship with a lot of the people out there.
So I stay in my own lane, and I'm respectful of the hard work that they do. Like, everyone that's doing it, I understand it because I do it, and it's not always easy. So you try and just be nice to them. But, I don't have lots of great friends that are real estate agents. I have some, but they're all doing their best, and providing pretty good service. We've got pretty good competition here.
Yeah, no,
It's just good agents.
good agents in the area.
Yeah.
But look, here at Doyle Spillane, we appreciate you, and thank you for all your hard work. And a lot of the younger staff look up to you, and it's telling with Stephen and Marion. I was going to say before, when we were talking about stuff, you've had some amazing PAs. Amazing. I think you've only had 3 or 4.
I've had 3. Yeah,
I've had 3. So that's telling the
25. This is actually,
yeah, for so long. Everyone, all the
Mel's been with me for 11 years.
Yeah, Mel, and before that, Brianna.
Brianna was there for 8 or 9 years, and then she went on maternity leave, came back and helped out in rentals.
Yeah,
So she was still talking.
Yeah, so that's quite telling. Obviously, only had 3 different sort of.
Yeah, and each time I've got a little bit better with the way I've managed staff, because at the early stages, I think they just put up with me reluctantly, and now probably I do it a little bit better with the learning, taking accountability for your mistakes and trying to improve them is important.
Well, they get a lot of learning, and you're very giving as well. Not only to them, but also the rest of the team and the rest of the staff, whether it be your time or it's really appreciated.
I couldn't do it without this great team around me. That's for sure.
No, all good. Well, I hope you guys got a good idea of what Matt Morley, what makes him tick. The man, the myth, the legend. But appreciate your time.
Thank you, mate. Thanks for having me. Cheers.